History is shaped not just by empires, but by the struggles of individuals swept up in its tide. King Hezekiah of Judah was a reformer, a man of faith who had seen God deliver Jerusalem from the Assyrians. But now, in 701 BC, he faced a foe he could not fight, death itself. Gravely ill, Hezekiah lay helpless, stripped of power and hope. Into this moment of despair came Isaiah, the prophet, with a message from God. "Set your house in order, for you shall die, you shall not recover." The words hit like a hammer, final, absolute. For Hezekiah, it was not just the end of his life, but the end of his reforms and his legacy. Even the most faithful can face utter hopelessness. The king, once triumphant, was now brought low, left with nothing but his relationship with God. This is where the story of 2 Kings 20 begins, in the darkness of despair, with a king at the edge of the abyss. Yet in this darkness the seeds of a greater story are sown. Even the greatest are mortal, and even the faithful must face the unknown. But sometimes the end is only the beginning. Hezekiah did not surrender to despair. Instead, he turned his face to the wall and prayed, pouring out his heart to God. "Remember, O Lord, how I have walked before you in faithfulness," he pleaded, weeping bitterly. God's response was immediate. Before Isaiah could leave the palace, God sent him back with a new message. "I have heard your prayer, I have seen your tears. Behold, I will heal you." Not only would Hezekiah recover, but God promised him 15 more years of life. For a king who thought his story was over, this was a miracle, a resurrection of hope. This moment reveals a God who listens, who responds, and who has power over life and death. Hezekiah's healing is more than a personal victory. It foreshadows a greater deliverance to come. In this ancient king's story, we glimpse the promise of the Messiah, the one who would conquer death itself. Hezekiah was restored from the brink, but Jesus would offer eternal life to all who believe. The king's prayer changed his fate and pointed to a future hope. Sometimes a desperate prayer can move the hand of God. Hezekiah, given a promise of healing, asked for a sign, a tangible assurance from God. Isaiah offered a choice. Should the shadow on the sundial move forward or backward 10 steps? Hezekiah chose the impossible. Let the shadow go back. Isaiah prayed, and God reversed the shadow. Time itself bent to his will. This was no ordinary sign. It was a cosmic event, proof that God's promise was sure. The miracle confirmed God's power over nature and death. The sign of the reverse shadow foreshadowed a greater miracle, the resurrection of Christ. Just as Hezekiah would rise on the third day, so would Jesus, conquering the grave. The God who turned back time for Hezekiah would one day turn back death for all. In the king's sign, we see a glimpse of the ultimate deliverance. Sometimes God's signs point far beyond the moment, to a hope that endures. News of Hezekiah's healing and the miraculous signs spread, reaching even Babylon. Envoys arrived, and Hezekiah, flattered by their attention, showed them all his treasures, his wealth, his armory, his pride. In seeking to impress, he revealed his kingdom's secrets, trusting in riches and alliances rather than God. Isaiah confronted him. "What have they seen in your house?" Hezekiah admitted he had shown them everything. Isaiah then delivered a chilling prophecy. All these treasures would one day be carried off to Babylon, and even his descendants would be taken. Hezekiah's pride had sown the seeds of Judah's future downfall. The very nation he tried to impress would become their conqueror. This moment is a stark warning. Pride and misplaced trust can undo even the greatest blessings. Hezekiah's story turns from triumph to tragedy in a single act of vanity. The lesson is clear. True security is found not in wealth or power, but in humble dependence on God. Pride opens the door to loss. Hezekiah's story is a drama of faith, frailty, and the dangers of pride. When faced with death, he turned to God in honest prayer and was heard. His healing and the sign in the heavens point to a greater hope, the resurrection and eternal life offered by Christ. Yet his later pride led to a prophecy of exile, a warning that blessings can be lost when we trust in ourselves. The narrative calls us to humility, to place our trust not in treasures or status, but in God alone. Hezekiah's life reminds us that our true treasure is not in what we possess, but in our relationship with the King who conquers death. In moments of crisis, prayer is our greatest resource. In moments of blessing, humility is our greatest safeguard. The story of Hezekiah urges us to seek the eternal, not the temporary. Our true hope is found in the God who hears, heals, and saves. Are you ready for the next chapter? Just click here to go straight to it.